Chair Ottenberg, Vice Chair Dodwell,
Here.
Councilmember Bartoni,
Here.
Councilmember Garitano,
Here.
Councilmember Hopper,
Here.
Councilmember Jaxi,
Here.
Councilmember Brost, Councilmember McCutcheon.
Katie,
I'll be
you're,
the- Yeah, I'm just hit the unmute button, sorry. I'll be your chair today, so try to move through this, but I will say I'm on a few painkillers, so if I wander off, my apologies. Looks like we need the approval of the November minutes. Do we have anyone willing to do so? Mr. Garantano? Do we have a second? Mr. Bartoni, thank you so much. All in favor? Aye.
All of you, that's mine now. Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, it looks like we've passed through those. Travis, do we have anybody from the public side that needs to participate this evening?
No, ma'am.
Okie doke. And thank you for being here too, Travis.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Well, then we'll just move right into our discussions. How about we go through real quickly your updates, Thomas, on what's going on as far as business development in the city since our last meeting in November. We've had 2 months now, hopefully good months for a lot of our businesses since it was the Christmas season.
yeah, Vice Chair Dodwell, thank you so much. And it does seem like, the holiday season did treat a lot of our local businesses nicely, and been hearing some good things. But as for openings and expansions in general, happy to announce that Fox Company Yoga, located at 16347 Main Street, has completed that interior build out of theirs, and they are currently working on getting signage approved by the city, and they're aiming to open on January 29th officially. We'll be working with them to get a ribbon cutting ceremony scheduled for them, and we'll have more details to come as that, as they get open and get comfortable.
Okay.
On other
Where-
news,
Where
yeah.
is that along Main Street? I'm trying to picture it.
So that is right on Main Street where the Milk and Honey is, that building right across the street from
okay.
B&B Theaters, right in the back area. But
Okay.
yeah, no, they got a good little spot there, and they're really happy with the build out. Looks really nice, actually. Went and saw it just not
Okay.
too long ago. So looks really good. Excited to see them open.
Good deal.
Yeah, some other good news. Puffington Palace, located at 16540 Manchester Road. They're actually expanding their operation into the adjacent end cap right next to their current location at 16528 Manchester Road. And they're hoping to have that portion of the business open by March 2023. So great news there. Look, glad to see that, taking over a vacant building and also seeing that business grow. It seems like, doggy daycare is getting more and more popular as we move into, it's happening. I use it myself. So
Mhm.
Also, other good news here, SSM Health Physical Therapy, they are working with Mike Petruso to move into the old Imogene's property located at 16962 Manchester Road. Tentatively, they should begin their lease on May 1st, that is, sorry. And they actually plan on investing around or over $300,000 into the build out for that facility. Expecting to have about 3 physical therapists operating out of there. So it should be pretty steady business in that building, which I think will really help, facilitate just, foot traffic from the individuals. Maybe they'll go shopping at the porch and other areas right next to it. So good to see that. Unfortunately, we did get confirmation. Insay Orthodontics, located at 2444 Taylor Road, it confirmed with Deerberg's Market that they will not be renewing their lease. They currently have another location over in O'Fallon. I have not been able to reach Insay Orthodontics owner yet, but unfortunately their lease is set to expire July 31st. We're currently working with the Deerberg's Markets to get a better understanding of why they might be leaving and what might have caused them to kind of focus more towards their O'Fallon location. As for the more so towards like news and events, did want to bring up that the city did apply for the local tourism asset development grant provided through the Missouri Department of Economic Development. This grant would actually provide matching funds for the Village Green Main Street Extension project, which would, be a really good, increase to the productivity, the quickness of being able to do the project. We have quite a bit of resources and matching funds for them too, but they would match at 50%. So more information to come on that. Award should be announced in this January, so this month, but haven't heard anything yet. Hopefully I can report back in February some good news. Other news, some really good news actually. The Wildwood Business Association has launched their new website. Great news to hear. Their website had been down for a while, but you can now visit their new website at www.wildwoodbusiness.org. This is going to be a great place to, have their events and have everything posted at one spot. Their next social is actually on February 3rd, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. over at Silver Spoon, located at 17225 New College Avenue. Just wanted to also make a quick mention that the 2023 Wildwood Business Survey has been released. We currently have a little bit over 20 responses. We will be doing a little bit more of a push effort over the next coming weeks. So hopefully that number has dramatically increased by the time we have our next meeting. Also, Hidden Valley is hosting its 80s party, on Saturday, February 11th, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is to celebrate their 40th anniversary. It's looking like a really great event. They're going to have a terrain park event as well. Met with the general manager of Hidden Valley. He's really excited for the event, and they've seen a lot of great support and a lot of Wildwood residents coming out to support them. So very happy to hear that. And Hidden Valley seems to be doing really well. And lastly, just some highlighted stuff here. Equine Assisted Therapy, located at 3369 Highway 109. They're actually having their first tax swap event on January 3rd and 4th this year. This will be a really cool opportunity to bring together the Equestrian Society and, pretty much start kind of a tradition. They're hoping to do this maybe annually and potentially have the city participate. So more info to come there, but it should be a really good event, and I'm looking forward to attend, and hopefully everybody can make some time for it. The department is available to answer any questions at this time.
Quick question. The Rob Your Neighbor and Support Small Business event, are we going to be doing any advertising of that on our website, the city's website?
Yeah, so
that's coming up later this week.
Yes, so I have got it posted on our Wildwood Business Connection page, on our social media page. We have shared their content. That being said, I think that it might be a good idea to create a little spotlight for the event if if you guys think that it would be pertinent. They have done some promotional activities on Facebook, but I think putting it on the website definitely would shine a light on some really cool businesses that did that without any guidance. They just said, hey, let's go ahead and bring this together, which was really great to see those relationships being built across the city. So yeah, we can get that done, and would love to send the entire committee the link to that little page after it's been completed.
Yeah, I think if we could put something up there that's more viewable by our residents, if we can get it up there tomorrow while they're sitting at home on snow day, maybe some folks would see it and be willing to come out a couple of days later.
That sounds great. I can definitely do that, and we'll get that up tomorrow, and I'll confirm with the committee once it's done.
And then I guess one other statement I wanted to make is just the Wildwood Business Association social. My husband and I took the opportunity on a pretty cold day just before Christmas break to head over to the Silver Spoon, check things out. And the owner happened to be there, and we had a very nice discussion with him. He's very enthusiastic about doing business in Wildwood. Said up until the cold hard freeze that we got, business had been pretty steady into his location. And I was also happy to see him at the Wildwood Business Forum that we had a couple of, I guess, last week.
I could follow that up. Yeah, I've talked to David, we talk on a consistent basis, and it does seem like you said, when that cold freeze hit, obviously business did take a little bit of a downturn, but he did say things have, gotten to a, good level again. And he's been nothing but great towards the city, and has been a really nice individual in general, great to work with. So excited to see him prosper, and hopefully he can, keep doing what he's doing.
Any other questions from anybody? Okie doke, if we want to move on to our next item on our agenda then.
Okay, so that would be, in this case, thank you, Vice Chair Dodwell, I appreciate that. That would be the Business Forum report, which just want to start off by saying that it was a pretty good success. I was very, very happy with the turnout, and a couple council members, Councilmember Dodwell, obviously Councilmember Ottenberg, and Councilmember Garitano were in attendance. Just wanted to say thank you guys so much for attending. I think that really added some great positivity to the meeting, and it was just a really good time. And just to give a little recap, the city did host its first Wildwood Business Forum on January 12th, 2023. We actually had, after taking the attendance and the sign-in, we had over 35 businesses attend the first forum, which was great to see. Some notable attendees, just to kind of give some shout outs, was the West St. Louis Chamber of Commerce, St. Louis Community College was in attendance, the YMCA, Rockwood School District was in attendance, Anthology of Wildwood was here, Benedetto's, Lindell Bank, Arl Jones Property, and LaSalle Retreat Center as well, along with many others. But just it was great to see a mix between the larger businesses in the community and also those home occupation, smaller businesses, to kind of learn from each other, not only, but also discuss, what's been going on in the city and what we could potentially do to, help any of their issues. And just to kind of give a little more of a recap, during the forum, we gave a brief presentation. I have attached that presentation into the accompanying materials in this agenda in case you want to take a look at it. But overall, the presentation went well. We also had Officer Weinhold give some tips and tricks for business owners when it comes to, what they can do to say, keep their business secure. So I think it went really well, the presentation side. And then the open discussion, the Q&A portion, if you will, was really, I think it was a great opportunity. And, I do have a little bit of notes on that too. But really, when it comes to the open discussion, internet access was mentioned. I remember Equine Assisted Therapy did mention that even some places east of 109, we're still having a couple of issues with internet access, just kind of highlighting that area. But I would say the predominant thing that was really, kind of laid out during that discussion was signage. That was the main piece. And, you were there, Vice Chair Dodwell, so were you, Councilmember Garitano. So definitely was the constant theme. And just to kind of give you a little bit of follow-up, after the meeting, obviously followed up with the businesses thoroughly with information about what we talked about, but also asked them, how did you enjoy that formatting, that kind of structure of a meeting? They actually did get back to me, and I heard from about 10, maybe 12, 15 businesses that they would like to see during the next forum, maybe a little bit more time devoted towards open discussion and the Q&A portion. So, maybe shorten up the presentation very much so, really short presentation, but then really open up the floor for them to ask questions. But overall, they'll have that opportunity because we plan on doing this quarterly. So we do expect to have the next forum in the spring. At this time, the next forum date has not been determined, but I will be reaching out to the Economic Development Committee to suggest some dates for the spring forum so we could start getting that planned. At this time, the department's available to answer any questions you all might have. Thank you.
Would an April timeframe be okay for pretty much everybody? Only reason I'm thinking is let's get this done before we get into the summer months. People start heading out on vacation, etc. So I think any later in April than mid-April might be a little too late if we're going to have any kind of discussion with our business owners. Thoughts?
I agree with that, Councilmember Dodwell. I was kind of already circling April as my wish list on my wish list. So if we could carry April forward, be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I was, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think April is a good time frame because March is busy with spring break and, you know, people are doing some travel, taking advantage of it. The other thing I would say, and I mentioned this to Thomas when I spoke with him recently, that I think with the Q&A, it might be helpful with such a big room that there was a great turnout, that maybe we could do some small breakout groups. Like if there's a couple of council members that could attend, we could facilitate a breakout group with, let's say, 7 or so, depending on how many people show up, and facilitate a conversation to try to get that kind of feedback back and forth, being able to share updates, but hearing from them as well. And then, the breakout groups, maybe we could kind of then come together and kind of present what our findings are, so that this way everyone can hear. And I think it would be good too, because then it kind of takes you away from any group think. Like if you have everybody in the room and all of a sudden somebody starts talking about a topic like signs, then all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. So if the breakout groups could come up with their own, unique feedback, we might get some more back.
I like that idea, to give some more group discussion and then bring it back to the group as a whole, as here's the major topics we found. But I also think we need to report back on the signage topic with more details on what got accomplished after the meeting. I know we don't have all those answers right at this moment, but maybe providing a quick review of what the signage guidelines are for the city, and where that one individual who did spend a great deal of time speaking his concerns, where the status is for him and his business, because I'm all for having consistency among signs, etc., but not telling somebody that they cannot put signage where it can be seen by the public that they're trying to gather in. We have to work with either Architectural Review Board or with our Admin and Public Works group to better facilitate how our businesses can garner the business they're looking for. I certainly understand in heavy neighborhoods of homes, etc., that you want to be very careful about any advertising on home fronts. But when you're at a corner of West Glen and Highway 100, to me, I don't see that we have to have the same level of scrutiny on signage, or the same lack of timely follow-up, I guess is the way. I want to make sure that our communication back to those individuals happens in a timely, positive basis. We want to keep our businesses here. We don't want to have them go someplace else.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dodwell. I appreciate you bringing that up. I just wanted to, follow that information up with little stats on that specific case. I think the individual you're referring to is Network Technology Partners. Just to give a little background information, they actually, their sign and logo, what they were planning on putting up, was within the maximum 50 square feet that a sign can be. The big problem in this case was the fact that the height of the sign specifically was going to be 44 inches compared to our current regulation at 24 inches. So it was about 47 square feet, which is under the 50, but the height was the issue there. Just wanted to add some additional context there.
Yeah, and I think as a city, this is my perspective, obviously, but I think as a city, having that level of signage at the intersection of 109 or 100 and West Glen Farms, which is in my ward, I don't know any constituents that would be upset with the signage going outside that regulated signage berth in order to more effectively promote a particular business. So it's certainly smaller than the Deerberg sign that is on the side of the Deerberg's supermarket. So what kind of follow-up are we doing with that group then, Travis?
Yeah,
Or Thomas?
So what we actually planned on doing, and Chair Ottenberg's not here, so won't get too much in the details, but I will be doing a pretty borderline, but a good overview of our signage regulations and looking into them a little bit more. So that we'll be following up during the next meeting for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
That's what they're favoring.
If I could ask a question about the signage, I know you're gonna follow up, sorry, but just, I'm a little confused because I feel like I'm hearing inches and feet. And I'm just trying to determine, because you're talking about being 24 inches tall, but 47 square feet. I'm like, I don't know how a sign's 27 inches tall and then 47 square feet. So that's a pretty long sign. So yeah, we probably wouldn't want that out there somewhere. But so I guess that's part of my question is it 47 square inches what they're saying the sign is supposed to be, or?
I am so sorry. That was my mistake. I was meaning to say 47 square inches. That was on me. But yeah, no, what it is, it's actually a little bit more. The problem here is it's a lot taller than it is wide. It's not really the traditional sign where you see it as elongated and having a smaller base to it. You know, that being said, just how the city has it currently zoned is that you pretty much get 1 square foot of size for every linear foot of length for the building, but that also accompanies the fact that you have to meet the 24-inch height limit, if that makes sense. You're muted, Councilmember Hopper.
I don't know why that muted all of a sudden. Yeah, I pulled it up on Google Street View. So if anybody has done that yet, but yeah, I'm looking at that plaza that this is in and the other businesses in it. And honestly, I would be extremely frustrated with the 24-inch limit on here too. Like I'm looking at the signs of some of these buildings, and unless you knew where you were going and knew the specific business you were going to, it'd be almost impossible to see a sign and understand that you were going there. Like, and even if you knew you were coming here to see that specific business, even that finding it is because there's no street signage at all on any of these plazas where they have, you know, sort of the banner sign at the entrance that shows all the businesses or anything. So yeah, the only sign I can even really see from the street is there's just like an American Family Insurance business there. And even then it's like you'd really have to be looking to catch it. So it's a little concerning that I just think we definitely need to review that regulation because that seems a little restrictive. And I don't know if there's a limitation on the signs on the front as far as what they can put out towards the curb on the street if they wanted to do that, because I don't really see hardly any of that on the street either. So I'm just I think it's definitely something we should put some serious in consideration with, especially the multiple people that shared frustration with it. And I know when you're using office space or have a storefront, for lack of a better term, like that's the most important thing you can do is get good signage out front. So yeah, definitely something we should be looking at.
Thank you, Councilmember Hopper. I really, I appreciate the input. I think, that's very fair. And also, I did want to also just mention that with NTP specifically, they are like a cyber technology company. They're really more focused on, dealing with businesses. So they really wanted that sign so they could, when people come to visit their facility to see where their information would be stored and collected and all that, they wanted to really just kind of show like, hey, we are here. This is our building. They did buy that building from Simmons Bank. So they really just want to make it so it's a little bit more picturesque and it looks appropriate, if you will, for the size of that facade. And when it comes to I would have to defer to the planning department on the exact mechanics, and I'll have more information during the next committee meeting. But there are other opportunities for, other kinds of signage that's not just, the wall mounts. That being said, I would definitely want to defer to the planning department to get the specifics and do a little bit more further research.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilmember Hopper.
Councilmember Dodwell here. If anybody is on the Planning and Parks Committee, if you could please perhaps take this forward as a topic of discussion at your meeting, since that would be in your bailiwick, that the signage board reports back into the Parks and Planning Department. So just for a discussion point so that we can put some timelines together on reporting back to this particular business. Okay, I think we can move on to our next topic unless we've got any more questions on this one. And that next topic would be our Live, Work, Play marketing plan.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dodwell. Appreciate that. Just wanted to give a really brief overview, but give you guys more insight. During the Economic Development Committee meeting back in November, a motion was made to allow the department to start collecting bids for this specific campaign. The committee, unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum at the time, so the motion was tabled until tonight. So we decided to bring it to here. Overall, the main focus of the marketing campaign remains the same. That being said, myself and the department in general, we kind of took a little bit of a look at it, and after talking with businesses with the forum and talking with them in general just over the past couple of months since we talked about it, I almost think that it's a great idea. Keep things the same as attracting office users, retail users to our city with a more of a lifestyle type ads, and then getting them to sign up as per the accompanying documents. But also, I almost wanted to add in a shop local campaign component, if you will, because this effort will really focus on attracting users to come to Wildwood. But I also want to maybe show the individuals that might be interested that, hey, we also take care of our own and we want to support Wildwood businesses that are already here. So I kind of wanted to just incorporate it, not necessarily 50-50 down the middle, but having some sort of ad or some sort of smaller component of this marketing campaign delivering on some of that shop local, but still promoting the lifestyle of Wildwood. That being said, too, if approved tonight, the department will begin interviewing marketing vendors and collecting proposals for committee review. So if you have any questions, if anyone has any questions, the department's ready at any time.
Looks like we don't have any
If we can get to
questions.
that, I'll skip to the topic.
I got a quick question. Sorry
Button.
to interrupt there, but
Click the right button.
you have on here as far as the ad placements. It says the majority of the funds will be spent on LinkedIn, but is that really going to support, I guess, the shop local part of it? I get I kind of like the idea of having a balance of that. If businesses are doing well, I guess that also attracts other businesses. So I just didn't know if that was still going to be appropriate, if that was going to be divided.
Yeah, so sorry, Councilor Hopper. I did not hear that the beginning of that. I think I heard you say for the ad placements themselves, are we going to be using these same techniques for the shop local campaign? Was that what you asked?
Well, hold on, let me see if it's okay. Well, you have in there on the document that's on the agenda, it says the majority of funds will be spent on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I was just curious of, is LinkedIn going to be the best placement for shop local campaign? So I didn't know if there was if that was an idea that had been placed after this had kind of been typed up, or where that looked, because just to make sure that we were going to, sort of divide that out appropriately. If it was, I like the idea of targeting that, but just want to make sure funds are divided appropriately.
That makes a lot more sense. Thank you so much. My speaker cut out for a second, but yes, to answer your question, the LinkedIn portion of this digital marketing campaign would really focus on the first component, where we're trying to attract those entrepreneurs and office users. That seems, based off my experience, to be the best way to go after these individuals. It has great targeting methods as well, because you could target based off, obviously, geography and then also job title. So it does really help when you're trying to recruit. Whereas the Shop Local campaign component, if you will, that would probably be more the display ads on the internet mixed in with Facebook ads, also mixed in with the print and print ads that we could potentially run as well. So that would, you're 100% right. When I say the majority of funds will be spent on LinkedIn, I should have been more specific. That should be saying the majority of funds for the live, work, play will be focused on the LinkedIn portion. But when it comes to Shop Local, we'll be using other tactics.
And for that, since you mentioned that the print ads, do you have an idea of how much budget that, at least a general idea of percent of budget you'd want to spend towards that? Honestly, print ads just don't do that well, quite honestly. And I hate to waste a lot of budget on print ads that they're not going to get much traction.
Councilmember Hopper, I really appreciate you saying that. I almost just included that to make sure to cover my bases, but I come from a digital marketing firm. I was running a the government side of a digital marketing firm, and I completely agree with you. I think print ads don't show you that return, and they also just, you can't really get measurable results, which I'm all about, is quantifying what we actually got for what we spent. So honestly, I would be open to excluding it completely, taking that out and focusing all of the budget on digital. I did want to make sure that it was included in case, someone really, in our committee, someone really wanted to hone in on those specific ads. Sorry.
I have a comment. I think Don's had his hand up, so Don might want to say something. If not, I'd like to comment.
Thank you. And I really don't have anything to comment on this specifically. I just want to let everybody know, and probably especially Colleen, that Deborah is sitting here next to me. She had trouble logging on earlier. So just to make sure that we record that she was here, and if you can just let me know. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I did want to chime in on that because I wouldn't want to rule out print ads. I know that they are very successful and have produced results. And when I think of it, I think of the local newspaper, West News Magazine. It's a free paper that gets delivered to people who sign up to receive it. And you'd be amazed if you haven't tried advertising through it, the reach that it gets and the results that it produces. A lot of people get their local news through a local paper like that one. I know Eureka has one called the Eureka Leader, but I would, depending on, who the audience is, I think that the paper reaches a certain audience in Wildwood that, likes to go through that paper whenever they get it, every 2 weeks. The digital, I think, is going to attract a different kind of audience, people that, are maybe, more tech savvy, younger in age, but the print, there's a lot of, I mean, even with Wildwood News, I think people get a lot of their news through that paper. So I think if we're trying to show to our community what we're doing and trying to communicate a message, I would think we want to keep something in there for the paper. If that's what you're assuming print ads is, if I'm assuming that's what you meant.
Councilmember Dowdell, you had your hand up before me, so.
And echoing what you're saying there, Councilman Garantano, I don't think it would be a bad idea to go ahead and put some print into either the MEC statewide review magazine that gets out to all of the folks like us, just so that they can perhaps get in their car, come to our city, see what's going on here. The city of St. Charles does it. The city of Herman does it. Springfield does it. A lot of different municipalities do it. It doesn't have to be every single edition, but either have some kind of a written story about things going on in Wildwood, maybe a story that Thomas can put together and we can publish in that magazine about our goal for our Route 66 park, but also some kind of a print ad that could be thrown in there. And then also thrown up on our website to just take that print copy and easily place it in different spots whenever we need to put something about Wildwood out there for living, working, and playing in. So
I think that's a really good idea, and I really like that idea of also utilizing it for more than just the print ad purpose. Also repurposing it, maybe including it in the fall Gazette, because obviously we are well into the Gazette for spring, but including it into the fall Gazette. But I definitely do agree with you, Councilmember, both Vice Chair Dodwell and Councilmember Garitano. I did want to ask Councilmember Garitano, with the print ads, did you want to specifically use the print ads for the shop local component, or did you want to use those for both components, as in the attraction piece where it would go after the office and retail users, and the shop local piece?
I mean, I think my gut reaction would be the shop local piece, because those are the people that I think are reading the paper more, where the other one, I think you have to go more towards media that is tailored to that audience. And so I think that's a thing there. I might slightly digress on this, but I think it's appropriate to bring it up in economic related to talking about, you know, promotion of the city. But and I'll just share my screen if that's okay for a second. But you know, the West News magazine had not the one that just came out today, but or 2 issues back, they had the front cover was a story about the business boom in Chesterfield. And I thought, wow, look at that big promotion right there of what's happening in Chesterfield here. It shows you that obviously the city is on the move and doing things. But that, I think, is the kind of, you know, front page story there that I think we need to get more of for Wildwood. We need to tell the story that this is a place you want to come to do business. You want to make your home in Wildwood. Here's what we've got to offer for you. And maybe that's a conversation that could be had with the paper to say, hey, are you going to do one on us or something like that? And maybe we can promote some of the things that are going on in Wildwood, because in the absence of us telling our story, I think, you know, people can make their own narrative. And sometimes you hear that, you know, it's like, well, the Jack in the Box is empty, but you don't know about all these other things that are happening.
very good point, Joe. Very good point. I like that idea of finding local news that we can promote what's happening in Wildwood beyond our deer situation.
Also, with that same that local news approach, I do really agree with you. I you know, the more you keep talking about it, the more it gets me, you know, excited for this. I do think, you know, approaching them and, you know, saying maybe we could take out a couple ads in your next edition. I think that would obviously kind of twist the radar a little bit, especially those ads. Maybe if they're promoting some things in Wildwood, maybe they look at that and they say, hey, you know, we've kind of left Wildwood out of the loop for a little bit. Maybe we take another, you know, a deeper look into what's going on there. And then maybe we do get on the cover, like you said, that Chesterfield's experiencing right now, especially with the projects that are coming up here in the near future with Wildwood. I think that, you know, there's a lot to be looking for. There's a lot to look forward to here in Wildwood. It's a very bright future that I think we have, especially here in the town center and with the internet project expanding out. I think it's definitely report worthy information, and getting in there and getting our ads in there, I think will just heighten their senses for potentially, you know, actually writing more stories about us too, in a positive light.
So do we need a vote on moving forward with the marketing plan as currently outlined, taking into account several of the suggestions that once we have picked a firm, I think we need to start hitting the ground running. So my hope is that at our next meeting, we have bids to review and a decision to make on who we're going to have do our marketing for us. And we're going to start that marketing no later than the beginning of March. Or that process, not actually putting things, I guess.
Yeah, Vice Chair Dodwell, I appreciate that, and I definitely would agree. I will say that with the digital component, it does take time to develop those campaigns to get it thoroughly done, and it is kind of a rigorous process after signing the contract, even to say, hey, going from spot A to spot B, because you have to, pretty much get them to share your accounts, your website. It just takes more time than it might be expected. I would say that the ads probably wouldn't launch until maybe mid-March, beginning of April. That would be my estimate if it gets approved, if we get a bid approved in February. I definitely think that, that would be the key. And my goal would be to get, if it's less than 10,000, we'd get it out there, but hopefully we'd have at least 3 to 5 bids for the digital component. And then obviously a specific number amount that we could talk about with the print ad faction of it. So I personally and the department recommend moving forward with this. And once approved, we'll go ahead and start reaching out to these vendors and get you guys some good proposals to review.
Do you have a specific date that you want their proposals back in? Do you want them in prior to our next meeting so that the committee members can review them and we can have a discussion and final decision on who we want to go with at the next meeting? Or do you want to make it the meeting in March that we make that final decision?
I would say, just for the sake of getting the RFPs out there, I would maybe say that March, depending on, I think March,
Okay.
I would say March would be the best to get it approved. But the cool thing about working with some of these digital firms and actually print ads too, you can do a lot of the setup before you sign that contract. You can get kind of the ground base idea, as long as you're working with them and you're communicating with them with intent. So at the end of the day, I do think March would be more realistic, just based off the fact that we want more selection, so we have a lot to talk about. I do think that during our next meeting, we could definitely have a discussion on the bids we had so far, and if we are happy with something we have and we're like, this is, and I have trust in it, you all have trust in it, I think then we could obviously make a decision. But I kind of want to have that buffer zone just in case we don't get the exact results we're looking for by the February meeting date.
Okay. Well, then I need a motion to move forward with the proposal to the street, and I need a second.
I'll be happy to make that motion.
And Mr. Jaxie seconds. So thank you, gentlemen. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Deborah abstained.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bartoni.
Vice Chair, yep.
Are there any other topics that anyone wants to cover this evening? We do have just a few minutes before we need to obviously close this meeting out. We have a couple of individuals that are going into the next meeting, so I want to give them some time. But if no further topics, then
Deborah has a question.
yes.
Yeah, just a follow-up from last time. Is there any updates on maybe obtaining a library? I know you said you were talking to the gentleman. Has anything happened with that?
Nothing. Thank you, Councilmember McCutcheon. Nothing has happened yet. We are actually, what I did, I was talking with Dr. White with the St. Louis Community College, and he's actually saying that the St. Louis Community College is interested in potentially working with the city of Wildwood to potentially get a that's the update here, is that they're willing to work together to get a public library out here and potentially have a wing devoted, obviously to the college portion and, supported by it. So that's where we're at now. But when it comes to the actual public library itself, they have not really had too much traction. They haven't really been answering my phone calls, and it's been kind of dark on that end. So sorry for not bringing that up. That should have been part of the for information, that update. So I do apologize there, Councilor.
No problem. Thank you for the information.
No problem.
Okay, so do we have a motion and a second for closing the meeting? Motion from Mr. Bartoni, second from Mr. Jaxi, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain? Thank you, everybody. It looks like we're closed for the evening and you can move on to your Parks and Planning meeting. That'll be a big one.
Thank you.